Good afternoon, guys. So, topic for the day is planes and नेटवर्क। तो हम बात करते हैं कितने टाइप के प्लेन्स होते हैं नेटवर्क में। कितने तरह के प्लेन्स होते हैं? तीन तरह के। सबसे पहले आता है कंट्रोल प्लेन, उसके बाद आता है डेटा प्लेन या फिर हम उसको बोलते हैं फॉरवर्डिंग प्लेन। थर्ड वन इज मैनेजमेंट प्लेन। नाउ अकॉर्डिंग टू यू, व्हाट इज कंट्रोल प्लेन? हाँ जी। Routing protocols are the only ones which are control plane। हाँ जी, आप में से कोई और आंसर करना चाहे आप बताइए। Okay, he gave a small definition to it. Basically, these are the protocols we are running in the back end. Now we have to understand what is this back end. Clear? सबसे बेसिक बात करेंगे जो सबसे पहले आपने CCNA में पढ़ी थी, वो क्या थी? Switch, user 1, user 2, MAC address A, MAC address B, port number 1, port number। इस यूजर का IP है 10.1.1.1, इस यूजर का IP है 10.1.1.2। हाँ जी, क्वेश्चन आपके सामने बताइए। मेरे को इस यूजर के साथ फाइल शेयर करनी है, व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट रिक्वायरमेंट? कनेक्टिविटी मतलब कैसे दूं? दोनों को स्विच से कनेक्ट कर तो दिया, IP एड्रेस भी असाइन कर दिया, मैक एड्रेस असाइन करना पड़ेगा। भाई आपके सामने है हर चीज, आप इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स क्यों कर रहे हो? आपके सामने इस यूजर को ये IP दिया, इस यूजर को ये IP दिया है। अगर मैंने वीलन नहीं बताई तो वीलन बाय डिफॉल्ट क्या रहती है? 1। डन। व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट थिंग? फाइल शेयर करनी है, मैं पिंग क्यों करूं? मैं वही तो आपको कह रहा हूँ, फाइल शेयर करने से पहले यार देखो, आप ना डॉट से डिस्कनेक्ट मत होना। आप सबको हिंदी आती है ना? आप फिर फ्रॉम टुमारो सिट इन द फ्रंट। फाइन। प्लीज डोंट गेट डिस्कनेक्टेड फ्रॉम द डॉट्स। व्हाट वी वर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट बैक एंड। Then I start giving you an example. Let's say we have two users which want to share some files. What is the first requirement for this particular sharing? So first requirement is 10.1.1.1 should know MAC address of 10.1.1.2. And I think all of you know that a computer will store MAC address of another device in a table called ARP table. So before communicating with any user in the same network, what computer will do? Computer will generate a ARP to resolve the destination MAC address. Computer will generate a ARP to resolve the destination MAC address. This thing is clear to all of you. So what is this? This is something which is happening in the backend. This is something which is happening in the backend. So what is ARP? ARP is also a control plane protocol. ARP is also control plane protocol. This thing is clear. Let me give you some more examples related to control plane, like the one you were saying. We have two routers. They have connected LAN networks. LAN A, LAN B. 12.1, 12.2, R1, R2. This network is 12/8. Any problem? This network is A, this network is B. So, just to share routing information, what we will do? भाई बोलना पड़ेगा आपको. What we have to do? We have to configure routing. So let's say we are configuring a routing protocol EIGRP. Which routing protocol we are configuring? EIGRP. After configuring EIGRP, R1 will send hello to R2. R2 will send hello to R1. R1 will give update to R2. R2 will give update to R1, and for that update there will be a acknowledgement. There will be a acknowledgement. Any problem in understanding this particular part? So after these all packets are exchanged, user in LAN A should be able to communicate with user in LAN B. So what about this traffic? This is also control plane traffic. This is also control plane traffic. This thing is clear. So what is the definition for control plane traffic? Traffic generated by the device to the device. Traffic generated by the device and going to the device. This particular type of traffic is called control plane. It can be EIGRP hello packets, it can be CDP packets, it can be VTP packets, it can be DTP packets, it can be spanning tree packets, it can be triple P packets, it can be triple P OE packets, it can be HDLC packets. Any type of layer 2 protocol or any kind of layer 3 protocol which are responsible for exchanging some information from device to the device, that particular type of traffic is called control plane. Any problem in understanding this? Now next is, what is data plane? What is data plane? The traffic generated by the user to the user or to the server. In real-time scenarios, only two types of communications will exist. One is from one user to another user, or from one user to the server. Now, if we talk about data plane traffic, we have some protocols which will fall under this category also. What are these protocols? Like HTTPS, DSCP. DSCP is actually not data plane, it is management plane. We will come to it, so we will not include DSCP this time. Another one is FTP, TFTP. So there are multiple protocols which will come under the category of data plane. Next is management plane. All of you know we have two protocols. First one is Telnet, other one is SSH. Other one is SSH. Fine. So guys, first topic that we are starting today is management plane. I think all of you know what is Telnet. All of you know how to configure it. What are the requirements for configuring? Okay, let's see. Yes. So what is the use of Telnet? Telnet is a layer 7 protocol which is used for remote access. All of you know password will travel in clear text form. Port number used by Telnet is 23. Protocol used by Telnet is TCP. Now I have a question. By default, Telnet is enabled or disabled? By default, Telnet is enabled or disabled? Disabled, enabled. अरे गजड़ू लोगों दो ही तो आंसर होंगे, enabled या disabled. या enable या disable बताओ. Enabled. आप बताओ लाल टी शर्ट. Disabled. आप बताओ. Enabled. In the last, disabled. Let's check. I also don't know. Yes, look here. Hostname R1. Hostname R. On R1, which interface we are using? So IP will be 12.1.1.1. Second thing that I have to do, no shut the interface. On R2, next thing I have to do, no shut the interface. Done. From R1, let me check connectivity. We can reach R2. Any problem? All of you can see the communication is there. So I will consider R1 as client and R2 as server. Which server? Let me put a banner here. All of you know the meaning of banner. What do you mean by MOTD? Message of the day. Okay. What is the difference between login banner and MOTD banner? Question for all of you. What is the difference between MOTD banner and login banner? Question for all of you. Again, I am repeating. See, Welcome to ठीक है good I like it Telnet 1211 करें Telnet क्या बोल रहा है connection refused by it means on the other device the connection is rejected. Now we have to know the reason why connection is rejected. Why connection is rejected? I will go to the server. I will run the command show run pipe section line. All of you know the meaning of section command? VT. Why? All of you can see we are running here a command. Transport input none. What do you mean by none? ये तो हो गया किसी को बताने के लिए कि इस बात का मतलब है वी विल नॉट एक्सेप्ट एनी रिमोट एक्सेस रिक्वेस्ट. अगर आप टेक्निकली पूछो वी विल नॉट एक्सेप्ट एनी रिक्वेस्ट ऑन विच लाइंस. पढ़ो सब लोग कौन सी लाइंस पे VTY लाइंस पे. हम कभी भी कोई रिक्वेस्ट को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे जब तक यहाँ पे कीवर्ड क्या रहेगा up to the time the keyword here is none we will not accept any request on which lines VTY lines. This thing is clear to all of you. That's why we are getting an error here. All of you can see what is the error. Connection refused by a remote host. So how you have to remember it? Whenever in real time scenarios you are trying to remote access any device and you are getting the error. Connection refused by a remote host. It simply means you are not allowed to access that. It does not mean that the service is disabled. It does not mean that the service is disabled. It simply means you are not allowed to access that service. दोनों अलग अलग चीजें हैं. दोनों क्या है अलग अलग चीजें. Fine. So whenever you are getting the error connection refused by remote host, it simply means you are not allowed to which line virtual line, or some people also call it virtual terminal. Some people also call it virtual terminal. This thing is clear. कोई कंफ्यूज तो नहीं हो रहे आप? Fine. Let's move on to the next thing. So let me change this behavior here. Line VTY 0 to 4 transport input. How many options are available here? First one is all. We know about Telnet. We know about SSH. Do we know about LAT? Do we know about MOP? Do we know about async over ISDN? Do we know about PAD? No. Why? Because nowadays we are using TCP/IP protocol suite. What we are using? TCP/IP protocol suite. What we are using? And there are basically three protocols supported for remote access in TCP/IP protocol suite. Which are those three protocols? First one is Telnet, second is SSH, third one is remote login. Third one is remote login. So out of these all options, I will just concentrate on four options. How many options? Four. मैं किस किस ऑप्शन पे कॉन्सेंट्रेट करूंगा यहाँ देखिए सब लोग. फर्स्ट ऑप्शन विल बी, लेट मी चेंज द कलर फ्रॉम ब्लैक टू ब्लू. ऑल. Second will be none. Third will be. Fourth will be. So by default it is none. By default it is none. I can also change it to all. All means allowed. Telnet also, and I can also write there simply Telnet. So which protocol will be allowed? Only Telnet. I can only allow there SSH also. Only which protocol will be allowed? SSH. Any problem in understanding this? Transport input. What I write there? It means now anyone is allowed to make a connection on my virtual line. Yes or no? By default, no one was allowed. By default, now I will check service is enabled or not. By default behavior क्या था? मेरे को एक रूम में मिलने किसी से जाना है, but वो रूम का गेट ही बंद है. By default, the door was closed, so I cannot meet that person. So first of all, door should be open. Fine. So now I will again check. Look here. Connection is open. Welcome to network bulls router. We are getting the banner. Password required, but connection to 12.1.1.2 closed by foreign host. Why the why? Why connection is closed? Why connection is closed? You will say because password is not set. Let me tell you the actual problem. Actual problem is, let me run that command again. Actual problem is you are running here a command called login. Login simply means क्या मतलब है लॉगिन का? Please ask for password. Please ask for, but password is not defined. So what it will ask for? What it will ask for? मैं फिर बता रहा हूं. लॉगिन का मतलब है कि सर्वर क्लाइंट से क्या पूछेगा? सर्वर विल आस्क फॉर password to the client, but as here no password is defined. In our scenario, no password is defined. All of you can see. That's why we are getting a message here, password required but none set. Next, that's why I'm closing the connection. That's why I'm closing the connection. समझ में आया सबको? यहां पे ना ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. ये भी पूछा जा सकता है. Interviewer can also ask who is closing the connection, client or server? Server is closing the connection because on the client we are getting the error closed by foreign host. Foreign host means the other party. Foreign host means the other party. This thing is clear. सबको समझ में आ रहा है? So let me set a password here. Yes. Intelligent girl. Let's do it. Line VTY 024. No login. No login means don't ask for a password. मतलब आपको पता है लड़कियां हमेशा यही चाहती हैं. मैं बताता हूं आपको. डोंट आस्क क्वेश्चंस, जस्ट लिसन. फाइन. तो नो लॉगिन का मतलब है डोंट आस्क फॉर पासवर्ड. Whenever anyone is trying to connect on my VTY line, never ask for the password. I got the access. one is asking me the password. No one is asking me the password. This thing is clear. I think all of you have studied these things before. Fine. I'm just giving you a brush up. 2 मिनट रुक जाओ अभी सारा ब्रश कर लेंगे. Sorry guys, I run the wrong command. So now next step that we will be doing, let's configure a line VTY024. What is the command to configure a password? Password is the command. What password I will set? Cisco. Again, it is not asking for the password because we have not configured that login keyword. Login keyword का मतलब क्या? Please ask the password. So you can see here, show run pipe section line VTY. What command we are running? No login. No login means don't ask for a password. Line VTY024. Keyword is done. Now it should ask for a password, and we have the password also. Fine. Any problem in understanding this thing? Now the thing here is, let's say guys, this is the door. Anyone who is trying to open this door should know the same password. The password is Cisco. The password is Cisco. Now we have one more thing. We have one more option. What is that option? Yes. We can check two things at the same time. Okay. To open the door, everyone is sharing the same password. That password is Cisco. Now the second, you can say second path that we can follow is, for every user we can have a different password. For every user we can have a different password. सब लोग इधर देखिए. So by default Telnet is enabled, but the problem is password is not set. Done. Next thing, we can set different password for, okay, on per user basis. Let's say I want user name. What's your name? Yogi. Password. For Yogi, I want password Cisco123. For username आपका नाम. For VPN, I am using password CCI123. There is one more user, username Piyush. Password CCNA123. Done. So for every user we have different password. So we can create it also. What I will do? Creating username and password on server locally. बना दिए? Any problem to anyone? Now अब मैं क्या चाहता हूँ? Whenever anyone is trying to connect to my line, my virtual line, My server should ask for a username and password. My server should ask for username and password. So what I will do, earlier I was running the keyword login. Now I will add a keyword with this, that is local. What do you mean by login local? First, please ask for username and password. Please ask for username and password. Please ask for username and password. Any problem in understanding this concept? No. So which command we are running now? Login local. It is asking for a username also and password also. Fine. Username is Yogi, password is I am getting the access. Second, username is, password is, we are getting the access. Next, username is, password is, we are getting the access. क्या चीज याद रखना, हमेशा पासवर्ड केस सेंसिटिव होता है, यूजर नेम किसी भी केस में केस सेंसिटिव नहीं होता. यूजर नेम इज नेवर केस सेंसिटिव इन एनी केस. फेसबुक पे अकाउंट बनाया आपने, गूगल पे, सो डू यू थिंक दैट योर यूजर नेम इज केस सेंसिटिव? नेवर. So keep this thing in mind. Password is always case sensitive. आधे लोगों को ये भी नहीं पता केस सेंसिटिव का मतलब क्या है. बताना केस सेंसिटिव का मतलब क्या है, मैं कह रहा हूँ. इतनी दूर की बातें मत करो अभी, इट्स टू फार. ओके. नेक्स्ट कंसर्न इज हाउ telnet session is built. Computer, server. First of all, computer will send sen. Server will send sen plus ACK. Computer will send ACK. First of all, there will be a process called TCP three-way handshake. Yes or no? TCP three-way handshake. After TCP three-way handshake, this is sen plus ACK, ACK. Done. After this TCP three-way handshake, actual data is transmitted. It will send which packet? I want to connect to virtual line. I want to connect to. Now device will ask for, server will ask for, device will ask for username and password. User will enter username and password. Let's say username क्या था? योगी. Password क्या था? Cisco12. Done. After that, device will say, device बताएगा you are allowed to connect or not. After that, device will give you a reply. Reply can be positive. Reply can be negative. Negative means connection refused. Connection refused. Positive means you will get the CLI access. क्या मिल जाएगा आप सबको? CLI access. This thing is clear. Let me try to telnet username, password. All of you can see this exchange. First of all, there is a TCP three-way handshake. Then 12111 client is sending 12112 which data? Telnet data. Which data? Telnet data. तो हमें टेलनेट प्रोटोकॉल के अंदर नहीं जाना, ठीक है जी। तो टेलनेट डेटा जा रहा है, ऑल ऑफ यू कैन सी। आपको दिख रहा है पैकेट में क्या जा रहा है? यूजर नेम भी जा रहा है और साथ ही साथ पासवर्ड भी जा रहा है। So password will always travel in clear text form in case of telnet. अब आपको दिख रहा है डेटा 1 लिखा हुआ है, मतलब क्या इसका? So we are not here concerned about the information which is forwarded in which header? Telnet header. That is something related to application layer. We don't have anything to do with application layer. We are not responsible for its management. This thing is clear. You should know things which are going in which header? TCP header. आपको उन चीजों के बारे में पता होना चाहिए जो कौन से हेडर में जाएंगी? TCP हेडर में। उन चीजों के बारे में नहीं जो कौन से हेडर में जाएंगी? टेलनेट हेडर में। नेक्स्ट थिंग, so guys, what we can do now, let's say we have some devices in the, मेरे पास नेटवर्क में कुछ डिवाइसेस है, मैंने एग्जांपल लिया, लेट्स से आई हैव 2 राउटर्स and I have 5 switches. So we want to access all these devices we want to, पढ़ो क्या लिखा है? So we need to define username and password on each and every device. We have to define username and password on each and every device. This particular thing is called creating local data, which will exist locally on each and every device. Which will exist locally on each and every device. In big deployments, Let's say we have क्या लिखा मैंने, पढ़िए. In big deployments, let's say we have 150 routers and 6,000 switches. It is very hard to maintain this local data. So guys, please keep this thing in mind. आपके माइंड में एक चार्ट होना चाहिए कैसे. You should have an option in mind. Yes, we can configure telnet on router and switch. Fine. First option is we can define a single password for all the users. Second option is we can define password per user. Password per user. But I can define only if number of users are less plus number of devices are less. In the case if we have तेरी माँ की आँख. In cases if we have more number of devices, we will not create database. हम उस database को कैसे बनाएंगे? On a server. That concept will be related to. तो अब आपको एक आइडिया आया माइंड में कि भाई क्या है, मेरे पास कुछ राउटर्स हैं, कुछ स्विचेस हैं, मैं चाहता हूं उन्हें एक्सेस करना है. मैंने टेलनेट कॉन्फ़िगर किया. क्या कॉन्फ़िगर किया? टेलनेट. Whenever we are configuring telnet, we have two options. Either we can configure same password for all the users, or we can configure password on per user basis. Now, if we have less number of users and less number of devices, on every device I can create the password manually. I can create the username manually. But if we have very large number of devices and very large number of users, what we will do? We will create a server on which we will create username and passwords, and that server will be central. That server will be central. So thing is clear. So we will discuss the concept of triple. I'm just telling you that first option is we have that we can authenticate the user locally by creating local username and database. देखो, मैं पासवर्ड टाइप कर रहा हूँ, राउटर चेक कर रहा है मैंने सही पासवर्ड टाइप किया है नहीं. I'm typing the password and router is checking. I'm typing correct password or not. Agree? It means somehow router is authenticating me. Router is authenticating me. So what is the second thing I am saying? Either I can provide local authentication or I can provide remote authentication or I can provide remote authentication. So triple A will cover all things about remote authentication. आएंगे हम ट्रिपल ए पे स्टार्ट करेंगे कुछ दिनों में. Then we will discuss about remote authentication. Fine. So what two cases we have? Let us conclude it in the end. I have a device, I have a server. Case number one is on this server I have local username and passwords. Done. Username is Yogi, password is Cisco123. User आएगा, बोलेगा I am Yogi, password is Cisco123. I want to connect. It will check its local username and database and it will say, okay, you are connected. Done. समझ में आया? This particular thing is called what do we call it? Local authentication. What do we call it? Local authentication. Next, user server What is this? Remote server having all usernames and password. Then it will be centralized. It will be all usernames and database. I will username, password, database I will create on this server. Remote server. Fine. What will happen? A user will come to the server. I want to access you. I want to access you. Done. My username is Yogi. Password is Cisco123. It will send a request to remote access server. Username Yogi. Password Cisco123. Valid or not? It will say user is valid. It will say you are connected. Clear? This particular thing is called remote authentication. What do we call it? Remote authentication. Fine. चलो मैं एग्जांपल लेता हूं. ये आप हो, ये आपका एक दोस्त है, ठीक है. आपने अपने दोस्त को कहा भाई तेरा फोन दियो. ही गिव योर फोन टू यू. दे दिया उसने. उसने खुद से पूछा हाँ भाई ये मेरा अच्छा दोस्त है मैं इसे फोन दे सकता हूँ. एंड ही गिव हिज फोन टू यू. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड लोकल ऑथेंटिकेशन. अब यही आप थे, ये आपका दोस्त था, आपके दोस्त के पास एक गाड़ी भी थी. आपने अपने दोस्त को कहा मुझे गाड़ी चाहिए तेरी. उसने कहा भाई मम्मी से पूछ के बताऊंगा. I will ask my mom and then I will tell you I will give it to you or not. So this particular thing is called remote authentication. I am not authenticating the user locally. I am asking from someone else because I don't have the database. I don't have the database. This thing is clear. Any problem in understanding this particular part? No. Next thing. How to disconnect a particular user which is connected to the server. अब यहाँ पे सर्वर का मतलब सिंपली क्या है? टेलनेट सर्वर. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट HTTP और some else service. We are just talking about telnet. Username is yes. Username is बताइए. Yogi. Password is user is connected. Let me check here. Show users. So first of all, show user is the command to check which users are logged into the device. Which users are logged into the device. So can anyone tell me how many users are logged into server? 2 users are logged into the server. Fine. One through console, another through VTY line. This thing is clear. Through VTY line, which user is logged in? Yogi. What is the IP address of Yogi? 12111. And I myself logged into the device through which port? Console port. You can see here star. Star means active connection. So on this particular device, there are 2 users. But now I am accessing through console. This particular access is through console. ये access किससे है? Console से. If we check the same thing here, show users. You can see the star is shifted. Why? Because this session is opened by whom? Yogi. On which line? VTY line. So this is the active connection. Star का मतलब होता है active connection. Star का मतलब क्या है? So the above thing is telling me from the command again. The above output is telling me that I logged in on this device through which port? Console port. And this output is telling me I am logged into this device through which port? Line VT. How I can check it? With the help of this star. Star will tell me what is your active connection. What is your active connection? Clear to all of you? Now question was how to disconnect a particular user. Now show users. I know a user is connected on which line? VTY. I will write here clear line. You can see here connection to 12112 closed by foreign host. So how to clear the session? This thing is clear. Can we clear session on the basis of name also? How many VTY line numbers are present? 0, 2, 4. कितने VTY line number present होते हैं? 0, 2, 4. So you can see here, I can also use this command. Clear line VTY. After that, I can use the line number. And which is your line number? How you will get to know? अब तो हमने सेशन बंद कर दिया. दोबारा कनेक्ट करें. यूजर नेम इज विपिन. शो यूजर. To which line user is connected? Clear line. अरे तेरी माँ की. क्लियर लाइन 2 ही चलाना पड़ेगा आपको. यू कैन नॉट रन हेयर कीवर्ड VTY. तो मैंने सेकेंड लाइन को क्लियर कर दिया. ये आपका लाइन नंबर, द नंबर विच इज गिवन फर्स्ट. So all of you know, to clear the session you have a command clear line. After that you can specify line number. And how you will check the line number? By the help of command show. Clear? Question is, what do you mean by suboptimal routing? Fine. First of all, what do you mean by optimal routing? Yes. Only then you will be able to understand what do you mean by suboptimal. Okay. All of you are good with OSPF. राउटिंग प्रोटोकॉल आता है OSPF. हाँ, एक बात और बता देता हूँ. Yes, look here. What do you mean by optimal routing? I think all of you know that OSPF select best path on the basis of cost. Done. This is a source. This is a destination. Done. Cost of each and every link is, let's say, cost of each and every link is 10. सारे links की cost क्या है? 10. Now look here. If this particular user in network S want to reach user in network D, what will be the preferred path? Yes. विपिन कौन सा पाथ होगा? 154. This particular path is called optimal path. This particular path is called optimal path. If this optimal path is present, but still R1 is sending traffic to R4 via which path? This particular path is called suboptimal path. This particular path is called suboptimal path. So we are clear with the thing. The shortest path in the network is called optimal path, and the second best path or the longest path is called suboptimal path. But our question was, what do you mean by optimal routing? If we configure our OSPF, there is no way that it will decide the upper path. It will always decide the lower path. Agree? Because OSPF calculates this path on the basis of cost. And for the lower path, we have the least cost. For the lower path, we have the least cost. This is clear. So OSPF is the optimal routing protocol. OSPF is the optimal routing protocol. But for example, on R1, I configured policy-based routing. I configured policy-based routing. All of you know the meaning of policy-based routing. Whenever we want to override the decision of routing table, जब भी हम चाहते हैं कि ट्रैफिक राउटिंग टेबल के अकॉर्डिंग फॉरवर्ड ना हो, ट्रैफिक शुड बी फॉरवर्डेड अकॉर्डिंग टू माय विल. So which type of routing I will use? Policy based routing. All of you remember? Policy based routing is an example of suboptimal routing. So first of all, you should be clear with the meaning of path. Then you should be clear with the meaning of routing. तो सब ऑप्टिमल राउटिंग करने के लिए हम स्टैटिक राउटिंग भी यूज कर सकते हैं, पॉलिसी बेस्ड राउटिंग भी यूज कर सकते हैं. बट व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय ऑप्टिमल राउटिंग? EIGRP OSPF will always provide us optimal routing. This thing is clear. Any more questions you have? हाँ जी बताइए.